Breaking news. In the last few moments, further files relating to the paedophile Jeffery Epstein have been released in the US. Our US correspondent, well, we can show you some of them now. Now, there are 4 pictures we can show you as part of there's overall 95,000 being looked at, and they've been released by the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. As you can see, Donald Trump features in this one. Looks like several women there as well, but their faces have been covered. Let's bring you the next one. This features Steve Bannon, the former advisor to Donald Trump, certainly during his first term, in an office there with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein on the right there at a desk and with his computer. And we can go to our US correspondent, David Blevins, who joins me now. David, a lot of people have been pushing for this kind of thing. The Democrats have released, well, there's a handful we're showing, but there's a huge tranche of something like 95,000 as part of this latest dump.
Yes, Matt, let me try to explain what exactly has happened in the last few minutes. The Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, that is the committee on Capitol Hill investigating crimes carried out by Jeffrey Epstein, have received, they say, 95,000 images from the Epstein estate. They have now released 19 of those images, and they are striking. 3 of them are images of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Also, there is a picture of the former Prince Andrew, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. There is, as you say, a picture of Trump's former advisor, Steve Bannon, and others among those images released. But I think it's really important to stress at this stage that just appearing in a picture that has been released by the Epstein estate is no indication of wrongdoing. NBC, our colleagues in the United States, has reached out to each of these people for comment. None of them has been accused of wrongdoing, and all of them have repeatedly denied any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. But I think there will be much focus on the 3 photographs featuring Donald Trump. He has, of course, in the past indicated that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Each of them owned a mansion in Florida, and they were filmed together, for example, at a party, because the American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein really partied with the rich and famous a lot. You're looking at a picture of him with Woody Allen there, because he cultivated relationships with influential people, politicians, academics and celebrities. And so there was much shock in 2008 when he was convicted of procuring a minor for prostitution and served a controversially lenient jail sentence. And then in due course, we know that he was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, accused of exploiting and trafficking numerous underage girls. So these pictures will be scrutinised heavily. We've now had a statement, I should say, from Representative Robert Garcia, who's the ranking member on the committee from the Democrats. And this is what he's had to say. This latest production contains over 95,000 photos, including images of the wealthy and powerful men who spent time with Jeffrey Epstein. Images also include thousands of photographs of women and Epstein properties. Oversight Democrats are reviewing the full set of photos and will continue to release photos to the public in the days and weeks ahead. Committee Democrats are committed to protecting the identities of the survivors. 19 photos can be accessed here. And he goes on to say, it is time to end this White House cover-up and bring justice to the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and his powerful friends. These disturbing photos raise even more questions about Epstein and his relationship with some of the most powerful men in the world. We will not rest until the American people get the truth. The Department of Justice must release all the files now. I think it is worth, again, reminding people that these are not the Epstein files, so to speak, that we've been talking so much about in recent months. Following a decision by the House of Representatives and subsequently the Senate, and then the signature of the President himself, Those files, some 300 gigabytes of them, will be released in due course. But right now we are receiving just some documents from the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, documents which we would expect to feature in the overall files, but they are striking. 19 photographs, 3 of them photographs of the current President of the United States.
David, as you rightly point out, these are not the files, but Donald Trump did say in advance of returning to the White House that he would release the files. And the Democrats are trying to push him to do just that. But as yet, that hasn't happened.
Yes, again, I think it's worth reminding people why the Epstein files have become such an issue. During the election campaign, Donald Trump repeatedly pledged that he would release these documents. Once elected, his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, said they were on her desk and ready to go. She then released a small amount of material and said there was no list of Epstein clients. And that fueled, I think, further conspiracy of cover-up. They had really lit a fire that they were unable to put out. Republican Congressman Thomas Massey then raised his head above the parapet. He tabled a bill to release all the files, and 3 other Republicans supported him. You will remember that one of them was Donald Trump's longtime ally, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that really developed into quite a split in the MAGA base. So under pressure at that point, Donald Trump did a U-turn, and he urged Republicans to vote for the bill to release all the files, and all but one Republican on the Hill did just that. And since then, we've been waiting for the Epstein files to be released. As I say, there are hundreds of thousands of pages, digital records and other media related to criminal investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. The Epstein files, that's really material that has been collected by law enforcement, primarily the FBI and the Department of Justice. And according to the Department of Justice, the archive includes over 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. So really, the material that has dropped this morning is literally a drop in the ocean. And 95,000 images, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee say they have received, images including one you're looking at of the former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, alongside Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend and co-accused Ghislaine Maxwell. Between those 2 men, there is also pictures, as we've seen, of the current President, Donald Trump, a picture of his former advisor, Steve Bannon, and one, we understand, of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Again, I'm going to stress that just being pictured with Jeffrey Epstein or having your picture released by the Oversight Committee or members of that committee does not indicate wrongdoing. NBC, our colleagues in the United States, have reached out to each of these people for comment, but they have previously denied any wrongdoing and any knowledge of Epstein's crimes.
David, they've only released 19. We're showing a handful of them now. Clearly, some people's identities have been protected in these photos, others not. We're looking at that one of Steve Bannon with Jeffrey Epstein now. But 95,000 to work through. Are they working through these and holding them back because of decency or privacy issues? What would be the reasons for not releasing more at this point in time?
Legal reasons and political reasons. There has been a legal change just in the last couple of days in that judges have ruled, for example, that material which had previously been sealed could be unsealed. That was grand jury material relating to prosecutions of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, for anyone who is unfamiliar with the judicial process in the United States, material goes to a grand jury, and it is they who decide if there is enough ground to proceed with a prosecution. That grand jury material has been unsealed in relation to both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So legally there had been a delay, but I think that will lead to the release of some more documents in due course. And then politically there have been hurdles to overcome as well, because this had to be brought about through a bill on Capitol Hill, which was ironically brought by a Republican, Thomas Massey. He was the person who tabled the Epstein Transparency Act. He had all of the Democrats on board, obviously, but the pivotal moment came when 3 other Republicans crossed the aisle, so to speak, and voted with him. That pushed the bill through, and you may remember, remarkably, it was swiftly rubber-stamped by the Senate without even a debate and landed quickly on the desk of Donald Trump, who is himself now pictured in 3 of these pictures which have been released by the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. So I suppose in many ways the legal hurdles, the political hurdles are being overcome, the barriers are falling, and over the course of time we are seeing more and more material. And while these are not the Epstein files that we've been waiting for, this is the kind of material that you're going to see when those Epstein files come in full in due course.
And as you've stressed, and I'm going to stress again, being in a photo with someone doesn't imply any sort of wrongdoing. You may just brush up near them at a party and a photo is taken. You may meet them in an office like we've just seen, and there may be more to it. We don't know, and none of this implies any wrongdoing. But David, let's just set some of the context on this. I mean, when he came to the White House in the first place, Donald Trump often talked about draining the swamp, the implication being he was an outsider to the swamp, the milieu, the people who ran Washington. And what this does show is how broad and powerful Jeffrey Epstein's network was. And it went across party lines. He's pictured with Trump. He's pictured with Bill Clinton. He's pictured with plenty of famous, powerful people. The network he had and the power was huge.
Yes, and to some extent, the conspiracy around all of this was a conspiracy that was peddled by Donald Trump himself in the course of the election campaign, when he repeatedly stated that he would release the Epstein files if he was re-elected President of the United States. But the moment he found himself back in the White House, the trouble began to arise, because his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, said the files were on her desk and ready to go, but then never released the material that people expected to see at that stage. And all of that poured petrol on the fire. It fueled further conspiracy theories around the Epstein files, and that is what pushed it to the point where some Republicans on Capitol Hill were joining forces with Democrats to force through a vote demanding the release of the files in full. The Democrats have decided that they are going to some extent drip feed the material to us. They've been doing that in recent months, and these 19 pictures released today, selected from, we are told, some 95,000 images they've received from the Epstein estate, are part of that.
Yeah, seeing a picture of Bill Gates, the wealthy Microsoft founder, with the now named Andrew Mountbatten Windsor on the screen as well. And plenty of these pictures feature Jeffrey Epstein too. If you're just joining us, just going to reiterate this breaking news that the Democrats on the Oversight Committee of Government Reform in the US say they have now got 95,000 photos, including images of the wealthy and powerful men who spent time with Jeffrey Epstein. And they've released 19 of them, which we're showing you on the screen right now. And as David Levins, who's still with me, has been stressing, these are not the Epstein files, but these are photos that give an insight to the connections, the network that Jeffrey Epstein had. And of course, being in a photo with anybody doesn't imply any sort of wrongdoing, just a photo with someone. But nevertheless, David, as we've been spelling out here, it does show the connection, the breadth of Jeffrey Epstein's network. And also we've seen others in there as well. Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, who is currently incarcerated in the US as well.
And Matt, let me just tell you that we've now received a statement from the House Oversight Committee. They are not always terribly impressed, it has to be said, when Democratic members of the committee release this material. This is what the statement says. Once again, Ranking Member Robert Garcia and Oversight Committee Democrats are cherry-picking photos and making targeted redactions to create a false narrative around President Trump. We received over 95,000 photos and Democrats released just a handful. Democrats' hoax against President Trump has been completely debunked, they say. Nothing in the documents we've received shows any wrongdoing. It is shameful Representative Garcia and Democrats continue to put politics above justice for the survivors. So very strong words from the Oversight Committee. They are not impressed that the Democrats have chosen to release at this point 19 of the 95,000 images they've received from the estate of the late Jeffrey Epstein. Among those 19 pictures, 3 of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, though we know there is one of the former President, at least one of the former President, Bill Clinton. There are others featured there too, but I'm going to state what we've been stating repeatedly, just appearing in a picture that's been released from these documents is no indication of wrongdoing, and these people have repeatedly stated that they had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.